The house next door to yours has been vacant for some time. A man moves in next door. He comes over to introduce himself. His name is Rob. And Rob has infectious laughter. He is so funny. He's always telling jokes. He's so good-natured. And you have longed to have a neighbor like Rob. He needs to fix up his house. You loan him some of your power tools. You see him out there working. You go over. You're having just the kind of neighborly relationship you have always wanted. About 6 weeks go by. And one morning you wake up and Rob is gone. He's moved away. The garage is empty. The yard is empty. The house is empty. And your power tools are also gone. And I want you to imagine how you're feeling. You so enjoyed this relationship, but you gave him your power tools, and now you're feeling angry with Rob, but you're also a bit angry with yourself. Because instead of just giving him one power tool and wait until he returned that one, what did you do? Being the good neighbor, you gave him all the power tools he would ever need. And now they're all gone. And you need them. And what are you thinking about? How much money it's going to take you, how much time it's going to take you, and he has your best electric drill, your favorite. This is hurting you. You really can't replace that special drill, the one that does all your projects so well. You have a knot in your stomach. Besides the anger, you have the self-condemnation. Were there any signs? How did I miss this? What was I thinking? Then the police show up. And you go over and you tell them about all the power tools that were taken from you. And the police say to you, "We understand your loss, but we have to inform you that Rob is wanted in 3 states for murder." He runs a crime ring, and he has quite a few power tools on that list. Now, as you go home, how are you feeling? You're still out your power tools, but there's something here worth considering. There's something that I want to call bad debt. Offenses against us go into the category of bad debt. I know there's some financial people here who understand this concept of bad debt, but bad debt, unlike good debt, which is collectible debt, something that's not bad to have on your record, you don't want bad debt on your record. Why? Because it's uncollectible, it's illegal, or it's owed to you by someone who either can't pay you or won't pay you. Or essentially, the cost of collection is higher than what they owe you. So I want you to start thinking about the offense that you have suffered, the rejection you've suffered, the person who has abandoned you, the person who has stolen from you, who has taken this thing, who has made you feel bad. I want you to think of it as bad debt. And basically, the kingdom of heaven is saying, I will take care of your bad debt. I want you to let it go. Those of you who have an experience with bad debt, is it easy to let bad debt go? It's not. It's a debt. They owe you. It's not easy to let go of what was yours and no longer is yours, whether it's a relationship, whether it's money, whether it's respect, whether it was a job, a position. The kingdom of heaven considers offenses against us as bad debt. And I want to take another break, and I want you to talk among yourselves. I want you to think again about the offenses toward you, the person who is hardest for you to forgive. I want you to think of this as bad debt. And what I said, I'll say again. If we can change our feelings, if we can get a different perspective on what is owed to us, it will help us in this forgiveness process. It will help us become more like our Father. It doesn't make it easy, but it will make it easier. Actually, before we break, I want to say one more thing, that when we forgive, it does not derail the justice of God. Somehow many of us have the idea that if I forgive, basically they will never be accountable, that my forgiveness derails the justice of God. It's basically I'm saying they have a clean slate. I want you to imagine if you are a child and you have been kidnapped and you are found and you tell your father, who happens to be the judge, oh, let that man go free. I'm fine. He will take into account your opinion, but as a wise judge, he's going to take into account a lot of things about the person who has done this to you and what their history is and what they actually owe society as a debt. He's not going to take the words of a child and make that his final judgment. That we're talking about a just and wise God. When we forgive, basically we're saying that debt is so large, you don't have to add my debt to theirs. I don't want a connection with them. You see, the problem with trying to collect bad debt, the problem with trying to go after the debt that Rob owes to you is that by you trying to collect, it keeps you connected to him. The fact that if you believe anyone owes you anything, whether or not they will pay you, you are connected to them in an emotional way and possibly in a spiritual way. The only way you can get rid of this bad debt is by canceling the debt. To say, you owe me nothing. I will not try to collect this. You don't owe me an apology. I cancel this debt. It's difficult to do because it is a debt and they owe you. But staying connected to them, you end up paying interest on bad debt. You end up paying emotional interest on this bad debt that you're never going to collect anyway. If for some reason they change their mind and they want to pay you, you consider that a bonus. It is not a debt any longer. In the Bible, offenses to us, things that we lose, are considered debts. And as we look in the Lord's Prayer, many of us have said this many times. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. You see how the kingdom of heaven sees the offenses against you? As a debt. And that's why we're talking about these as debts. We have to think of this in economic terms. And most of us are pretty sensitive to our economics. We don't like to cancel debts when someone owes us something. I want to change your feelings about this, considering this is not good debt. This is bad debt. This is actually costing you and worth the work that it takes to go through this and to start to change your focus from, oh, this is what they owe me, to, I wonder if God got me out of that relationship just in time. I probably would have continued loaning Rob power tools until he had everything I have, or until I was physically harmed in the relationship. He got me out of that. And for you, maybe it was a bad relationship, a divorce, or something. Maybe it was a child who's chosen to go off with someone who doesn't approve of you or doesn't let you visit. I want you to consider, has God saved you, extracted you from something, and is there some gratitude, some appreciation that you can change your feelings of how you see the debt that you've considered good debt, but it's actually bad debt? So let's take some minutes and talk about this among ourselves.